Starting turn 2, Dwarf's turn. However, there's a foot of Gork hovering just behind the Longbeards, and it moves at the start of every start of turn. So this is going to scatter 2d6. Alright, here's the scatter roll for the foot of Gork. It's going to come back 6 inches. Alright, so there's the new position of the foot of Gork, favorable for the dwarfs. We're going to move on to their movement phase. They have nothing else to do in the strategy phase. So I'll go to declare charges. There's remaining moves. They have no compulsory moves, so let me see who's going to be charging who. Alright, first charge will be the dwarf warriors here at the dwarven end of the bridge. This is going to be, I didn't really measure it, but it's going to be kind of a tough charge for them because they only move 3 inches. I'm going to roll 2d6, and this time I'm going to take away the lowest because they are charging over a bridge. Even though that's a narrow bridge, I'm treating it like it's wide enough for the unit to cross without getting into difficult terrain. The second charge is, I don't know if I'm going to do a second charge, to be honest. I do have a gyrocopter hovering and definitely could reach those boar boys, but I may elect to move it to the flank or behind instead of charging and then using the breath weapon steam gun against them. Okay, the warriors are just a little bit over 6 inches, so they're going to need a 4. So 2d6, taking away the lowest. They got it. Take away the 4, so that's 5 plus 3 is 8 inches, and that's going to be enough to get them into the charge. Alright. Brave dwarf warriors charge into an orc mob. We've got the gyrocopter, flew, stayed within 9 inches, so he's going to be able to shoot in the shooting phase. Same for this gyrocopter, flew over the river and behind the Goblin Wolf Riders, and it's in position to shoot its steam gun. Alright, the other remaining moves really was just actually the Longbeards remaining stationary. So I'm going to move on to the shooting phase. Starting with the Thunderers. They're still in the forest, they haven't moved. They're going to shoot at the same target as last turn, across the river at those Orc boar boys. So again, it'll be, well, now it may not be long range. I think it still will be. They're going to be probably just over 12 inches. I'll measure it. But there won't be any other modifiers unless it's still long range. So 5 shots again for the first 5. Okay, one of the Thunderers is in long range. 4 of them are within 12 inches, so the blue dice will be those that are hitting at regular short range, and then the white die will be the long range. So the white has to be a 5, the 4s have to be 4s to hit. Looks like there's only 1 hit. Alright, 4s to wound. No wounds. Alright, the teardrop-shaped template definitely goes over every boar boy model. So the steam gun's going to hit all 4. One of them is a big boss though. The steam gun is a strength 3 weapon. So Orc boar boy's toughness 4, I'll need a 5. Those will be blue dice. And then the template falls over the big boss. So he gets hit. He's toughness 5. So the white die will be hitting on him. It'll have to be a 6. So blues 5s, white 6. Oh boy, that's 2 hits. One of them is on the big boss. It's a -1 AP. The big boss carries an enchanted shield. A finely crafted and sturdy shield that protects its bearer from harm time and time again. So it gains a 6+ ward save. In this case, he's not, well, I think in the old world, you get to roll both. It's not like 40k, I believe, where you pick the best save and just roll one. So he'll have an armor save to begin with at -1 AP. Light armor, shield, and the mount, because of the boar, gives an additional modifier. Normally it'll be a 4+, but the AP makes it a 5+. That'll go for each and every hit. So 1 boar boy and 1 big boss. The big boss is white die again. These have to be 5s to save. Neither saves. So 1 orc boar boy dies, and now we'll roll the 6+ ward save for the big boss. And failed it, so he loses a wound. The way this gyrocopter is positioned, it's only going to be able to hit 3 goblin wolf riders. So the strength 3 steam gun against their toughness 3 will be forced to wound. No wounds, they got lucky there, because even though they have shields on their models, I usually take them with shields and spears. This list has them with short bows, so they have to trade their shield for the short bow, and they don't have light armor. The dwarf warriors charged the orc mob over the bridge, and they're going to have 6 attacks because they do have their champion still alive. The orc champion is dead. He died on the bridge to start the game. So 5 attacks for the orc boys. Dwarves are weapon skill 4, and orcs are weapon skill 3. So 3s to hit for the dwarves. They attack first because they have, even though they have a lower initiative value than the orc boys, they charged at least 7 inches. So you get a maximum +3 to their initiative for each inch moved. So they're going to have the higher initiative. They're going to go first. Dwarves attack. Leading 3s. Looks like they got only 2 hits. Dwarf warrior with a hand weapon is only strength 3, and orc boy is a toughness 4, so 5s to wound. Get 1 wound. The orc has light armor and a shield, which gives him a 5+ save. He made it. There'll be 5 orc boys attacking back at the dwarfs, hitting on weapon skill 3 against weapon skill 4. What's that? Force. Force to hit. They also hit twice. They don't get any bonus for the choppa because they didn't charge. So they're just strength 3. The dwarf warrior is also toughness 4, so 5s to wound. No wounds. So first round of combat is done. Now we're going to have to work out the combat resolution. So the combat resolution is worked out for each side. The dwarves didn't wound anybody. They have a rank bonus of 2. I'm sorry, they have a rank bonus of 1. They only have 12 models in there. The last 2 dwarves in the back don't count. So they've got a 1 for rank. They've got a 1 for a banner. I don't think they have high ground because the orc boys technically are also on the edge of the bridge there. So it's a 2 combat resolution for the dwarves. I think they're going to lose this because I could see right away that the orc boys have 2 ranks, 2 full ranks. They are regular infantry, so that's the maximum they can get for rank bonus. They have a regular standard and the battle standard is in there. They have combat resolution 4. So it's 4-2 in favor of the orcs. Break test coming up for the dwarves. All right, dwarf break test is going to be on a 7 because their leadership is 9. -2 because of the combat resolution difference. They need a 7. They made it with a 4. So this is where things get pretty different from what I'm used to. Back when I played 8th edition of Warhammer Fantasy Battles, normally after I took a break test, they would either run, they would flee, or they would hold. They've made it a little more interesting here in the old world. After the break test, depending on how you roll, a unit could break and flee. It could just give ground, or it could fall back in good order. So what I rolled was a 4, which is a natural unmodified roll equal to or lower than the leadership of the unit, or double ones would do the same thing. It gives ground. So giving ground, I think I just back away from the unit 2 inches. No pivoting or changing direction. Yeah, so move them back 2 inches, and that will be the end of the turn for the dwarves. The orc boys have only one option here. When a unit gives ground, they could restrain and reform, I think. So I could just stay there as the orc player, but I think follow up would be the natural inclination of a dwarf. They're going to want to move up and continue combat. So they just come back up into base contact with the dwarves, and that's how it'll end. Here's the state of the battle right now after the dwarf turn 2. Thunder is still in the forest, staying still and shooting. Dwarf gyrocopter moving up to the flank of the boar boys. Longbeards elected to stay still right there. Their general, he has an old stone. I don't know if I mentioned that. Here's a combat taking place on the bridge between warriors and orc boys. There's a boar chariot in position for possibly a flank charge, but he's going to have to go in the river. The Oddgit Shaman is back there, ready to, well, he's already casted Foot of Gork. Foot of Gork is hovering right there. And then we've got Goblin Wolf Riders on the flank with a gyrocopter behind them, who I think shot its steam gun but did not do any wounds, or I don't know how that happened. I forgot last turn how it shot and didn't wound any goblins, but yeah. Starting turn 2 for the Orcs and Goblins, we'll do, well, we'll move the Foot of Gork. I'm going to roll it on the table, just be easier to see which way it scatters. And it's going to go that way 10 inches. Coming pretty close to the thunders, probably. There's one thing I failed to do in the dwarf strategy phase. I guess you call it the conjuration phase, where you can cast some spells. They could try a Fated Dispel to try and get rid of that Foot of Gork. They don't have to get a 10, which was the original casting value of the Oddgit. It bumps down to the default casting value, which was an 8. So I'm going to rewind time and see if they can get rid of that Foot of Gork with a Dispel. They don't. So I did move it, and it wound up hitting some of the thunders. Alright, it's tough to see, but there are 3 thunders under the Foot of Gork. There's 2 in the back and 1 in the corner here. So I don't think it matters, actually. Well, yeah, those are the 3 that are going to get hit. And now I roll 3. Is it D3 plus 3 hits? So you have to check that. It's D3 plus 3 hits, strength 5 at AP1. Alright, D3 hits from the Foot of Gork. We do 2 plus 3 is 5 hits. At strength 5, so It's going to be 3s to wound these thunders. I've got 3 wounds in there at -1. Thunders have... Do they wear heavy armor like the warriors? I have to check their stat line. Let's see what they have on and see what their save's going to be. Okay, my models have shields on them because I usually, when I played, took shields. But in the list for the Battle March, it's only heavy armor. So it's going to be heavy armor is 5+. -1 for the AP, they need 6s. They have no save, so 3 thunders are going down from the foot of gold. Alright, so declare charges for Orcs and Goblins. I think the Boar Chariot is going to take its chances. Boar Chariot's going to charge. You have to check line of sight. Where's my tool? I have a line of sight checker. Here it is. Goes in front of the unit, and then you would draw a line, and if the line comes behind, that means it will be in the flank. If this line was drawn so that it crossed the unit and didn't cross, I think, more than half of it, it would have to come to the front. But it's definitely in the flank of the dwarves. Makes sense because it's pretty far off to the side. The Boar Boys have no choice. Well, they do have a choice because these units, I think, are all impetuous, which I made an error probably in the beginning of the game with the Wolf Riders. When the gyrocopter was out here, the Wolf Riders probably should have taken a test to not charge. Anyway, they're impetuous. I'm just going to declare a charge, so they're not going to have to test. Same with the Boar Chariot. They're charging. So I'm going to roll their charge, and then I'm going to roll the dangerous terrain. And then we'll see if they reach, and we'll see who dies. Charge roll for the Boar Chariot. Now it's charging through dangerous terrain, which now means I take away the highest die. Turns out they're both 5s. So that's going to be a successful charge. And then I'll roll the Boar Boys, who are already in the river. So that they are also going to have to suffer the penalty. Taking away the 6. They're still going to make it because they have, I think, a 7 move on a War Boar. It's like a 10. They only need about 3.5 inches. So both charges are successful. Now let me work out the damage because of dangerous terrain. Alright, the Boar Chariot is actually charging down the river and into the side of the dwarves there. Boar Boys charge through the river and just about out of it. They're still hanging. They may not be 25% in the river now, but since they started their charge in the dangerous terrain, I will have to make tests for them as well. Alright, for the Chariot, dangerous terrain test, anything but a 1 and they'll be okay. They're okay. And 3 dice now for the Boar Boy unit with the Big Boss. The Big Boss is going to be the white die. They're all good. They're good swimmers. Okay, I'm going to do some remaining moves now that the charges are complete. These Goblin Wolf Riders want to march, but they're within, I think it's within 6 inches or something like that. If they're close to an enemy, they have to pass a leadership test in order to march. I believe a Goblin leadership is like 6, 5. It's not good. Goblin Wolf Rider mobs are leadership 5 without a champion. Actually, let me check to see whether or not they have a champion in there. The Battle March General's Compendium has default lists, and that's what I'm using. This list for the Orcs and Goblins is the Drazgog. Wolf Riders includes a champion, so they're going to go with leadership 6 to pass. They made it, so they can march. Alright, so the goblin, Odgit, marched. He was back here by this little tree. He marched right into the forest here. And the goblin wolf riders marched from the bank of the river. They crossed the river and they ran up alongside the bank next to the boar chariot, and they're trying to position themselves for a flank charge against the Longbeards. They should still be positioned that way after their combat, we'll see.
This is the dangerous terrain test for the Goblin Wolf Riders for marching across the river. 5 Wolf Riders, so 5 tests needing 2s or above. 1 dies.
Alright, the combat phase coming up because there is no shooting. The Goblin Wolf Riders have Swift Stride. That doesn't let them shoot after they march. I don't think they can. I'll have to check their special rules, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to be able to shoot. The other units are tied up in combat. The Goblin could cast a spell, but he's already got the Foot of Gork in a pretty good position right behind Thunders. So, right into combat. I'll start with the Boar Boys. I'll attack with the Big Boss first, and then the 2 other Boar Boys, and then their Boars. And we'll see who's left of the Longbeards to attack back. The Orc Big Boss has 3 attacks, weapon skill 5. He's hitting on 3s. Normally he's strength 4, but with a cavalry spear on a charge +1 strength. So it'll be 3s to wound and 3s to hit and 3s to wound. So hit roll with his 3 attacks. Looks like 1 hit, 3 to wound. Doesn't wound. Orc Boar Boys are weapon skill 3. They're hitting on 4s. 1 hit. Strength 4 against the toughness 4 of a Longbeard. 4 to wound. Doesn't wound. 3 War Boars attack with weapon skill 3 hitting on 4s. They have Tusker Charge, which adds +1 strength and +1 to the armor penetration. Let's see if they hit on 3 attacks, need 4s. They hit once, and strength 4, they need 4 to wound. It's a wound. Dwarf save is going to be heavy armor, weapons, and heavy armor. No shields. So just a 5+ goes to a 6+ because of the armor penetration. Nope, 1 Longbeard dies. Dwarf Thane is in the Longbeard unit. He's their general. Weapon skill 6. He's got 3 attacks. He's hitting on 3s. Wow. Longbeards have their champion. He actually won that battle on the bridge. So 5 total attacks. Weapon skill 5, hitting on 3s. They all have strength 6 because they have great weapons. And armor bane. So 4 hits out of 5 attacks. And they need 3s to wound. 4 wounds at, looks like there's 1 armor bane. So 1 is going to be at -3. The other are going to be at -2 for the AP of a great weapon. It's only heavy armor for Longbeard, so they're not going to get any saves here. So it's just going to be it's just going to be 4. Was it 3 or 4? I don't remember now. Was this that one? Yeah, I don't remember. I have to look back. Yeah, so it was 4 wounds. So what happens is light armor, shield, and boar is 4 up. The -2, wait, is that right? Light armor is 6+. Shield makes it a 5+, and the irons, the Tusker skin. I forget what that's called. It's the boar mount bonus. So they actually are going to get a couple of saves. But there is a -3 in there because of the armor bane. So this is going to be 3 saves at -2, and then 1 save at -3. Now there is a character in there. They have to kill the. Well, they didn't specify they were attacking him. These two guys actually. This guy probably had to attack him, which I made a mistake by not delegating, because there was 1 miss. So who knows which of them, which one of these guys missed. I'm just going to say that he got hit once, and these guys got hit 3 times. And which one was the armor bane? Well, I could 50-50 it. You could do it either on the unit or on the character. So let me make my rolls. So 50-50 armor bane on the unit will be 1 through 3, 4 through 6 on the character. I missed. So it's on the unit, which means 2 saves at -2 on the unit. They need 6s here. They're dead already, so I don't have to worry about that 3rd one. And now on the character, same thing. He needs a 6. If he fails, he dies. He already has a wound. Yeah. So the unit is wiped. But these are the kind of things that I want to practice by playing these solo games, because sometimes these rules can pile up and get a little complicated. The Longbeards, since they've just destroyed a unit, have an option to make an overrun. It's going to be a 2d6 move straight forward. I'm not sure if they have a penalty to this because of the slow movement. I'll look that up. I'll roll it on the table. I got a 6. There's another one. So 6 inches forward. I think in the old editions it used to be like at a -1 or 2 because the dwarves are slow. But they are going to move forward nonetheless, and then they're going to get a free reform. So they're going to move forward, and they're going to turn to try to get into the flank of those orc boys. And of course, I'll have to take dangerous terrain tests with them. Okay, there they are. I made a little bit of a mistake when I said they could do a free reform. They can't. On an overrun, they just run 2d6 forward. And it is still a -1 to their pursuit or flee because of their resolute rule, but not overrun. They're just going to run 6 inches. They ran through the river, so I'm going to roll 6 dice right now. No, not 6. There's 10 of them in there. The white one will be the champion. The pink one will be the thane. And then there'll be 9 more Longbeards. No, I'm sorry, 8 more Longbeards. Because it's 10, right? 8 Longbeards, a champion, and a thane. And I roll it in the dish. Dangerous terrain. Oh no. Champion is dead. Champion died, everyone else lived. Not terrible. Next combat will be the Boar Chariot. He already took his dangerous terrain test, so he's charging into the flank of those dwarf warriors. I'm going to roll a d6 + 1 impact hits. Got 5 impact hits. It's going to be 3s to wound. 4 wounds at strength 5. Alright, these are the dwarf armor saves. Their heavy armor shield. I'm just trying to find whether or not they're allowed to use their shields because they're being flanked. I can't find where it says they can't. So heavy armor is a 5-up, shield is a 4. It's not an armor piercing impact hit, it's just strength 5. So out of the 4 wounds, it looks like the dwarf saved 3 of them. 2 orc crew with cavalry spears. 1 hits. It's going to be a strength 4 because of the spear, so 4 to wound. It's 1 wound. Another 4-up save for the dwarf. Made it. And then I'll roll for the war boars. Hitting all 4s.
And wounding on 4s because of Tusker charge. 1 wound. This is going to be at a -1, so 5+ to save. Dwarves are good at making saves here. These dwarves are well armed and pretty dexterous. They're dodging and weaving. Alright, now that the boar chariot is done with its attacks, after its charge, we move back into the ongoing fight, which is going to be, I believe it's initiative 3 orc boys and initiative 2 dwarves, so maybe the orc boys are going to go first. I'll check that out. It's definitely the orcs with the higher initiative. I did make an error in the last round of combat. I did not attack with my orc big boar boss battle standard bearer. So I put the orcs at a bit of a disadvantage there. They still won the combat, so no big deal. He's got initiative 4. He's going to go first here with 3 attacks. Weapon skill 5, he'll hit on 3s. He's got a hand weapon. We've got 3 hits. So his chopper gives him a +1. Or it used to give a +1 strength. I think it still does. Let me check. No, it's only +1 strength on the charge. So his typical strength is a 4. He needs a 4 to wound. He doesn't wound. Alright, the 4 other orc boys in front hitting on 4s. They missed. There'll be 6 attacks coming back at the orc boys from the dwarf warriors, hitting on 3s. Their weapon skill is 4. Missed twice. So 4 hits are going to go through at strength 3. Need 5s to wound them. Missed. Okay, let's work out the combat resolution here. The orcs first, since it is their turn. They have 1 point for an unmodified wound inflicted. They have 2 ranks. They have a standard and a BSB. They have a flank. You have to double check that whether or not the actual boar chariot counts as +1 for flanking. I don't see why it wouldn't, but right now they're sitting at 6. The dwarves did not do any wounds. They have 1 banner. They have 1 rank. So 6-4 in favor of the orc boys. I'll make the roll, and if it turns out that it matters, I'll check to see whether or not this flank makes a difference. But this is going to be a break test for the dwarves. They are within range of their thane. It is at a -4 though. So I need a 5. Not a 4. So they break. Well, that is within 1, so now the flank would be important. Let me check it. Okay, the flank does indeed count, so it is a break. Dwarves are running. Orcs and goblins elect to pursue. Here's their pursuit roll. Actually, first let me roll the flee. It's a -1 now because of resolute for the dwarves. They go 5. Orcs and goblins only go 3. They do not catch them. That was a big chance missed. And that is the end of turn 2. You see the board. Looks like the Thunderers are going to have to step into action here. They can't hide in the forest and shoot anymore. Got the Longbeards that did their overrun move. They can reposition to try and get behind these orcs if they're fast enough. The next turn is turn 3, dwarves. So the first thing that'll happen is these dwarf warriors are going to have to try and rally. Then we've got some orc and goblin units on the flank of the warriors. Goblin wolf riders. There's the lone gyrocopter down there, and of course the odd git shaman in the woods. So after 2 turns, still undecided here how it's going to turn out, but it's a lot of fun. See you in turn 3.